The Verge readers are actually sending us questions in right now through the Wi-Fi with the car, with OnStar and everything. We're basically getting them in. So questions that these people are
Can I take a little sip of coffee?
And by the way, this is the death of Sunset Boulevard. Isn't this insane? There's no longer a view from Sunset Boulevard. They're destroying this place.
OnStar ready.
Our guest today is Wally Pfister, a director and the groundbreaking cinematographer behind Moneyball, Inception, and the Dark Knight Batman trilogy. I'll be asking him questions coming in live from Verge readers over the OnStar built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. He's currently waiting for us outside his LA house. How's it going, Wally? Where are we going today?
Good, Alex. We're going to Marina Del Rey, where I'm working out of a production office on a television show that I'm doing.
What was the first thing you ever shot? Ever?
Oh, and I would have been about 11 years old. My father got a Super 8 camera for taking home movies of the family, and he never really touched it, but I grabbed it right away. And the incredible joy of shooting something on Super 8, taking it down to the local drugstore where they'd send it out to Rochester and have it processed, and you'd be waiting with bated breath for it to come back and then project it on your Super 8 projector, and then find out that everything was out of focus.
Since you started as a newsman and a documentary DP, I'm curious how that beginning of your career informed the choices that you've made.
It became more about augmenting or riffing off of existing light and embracing the beauty of that rather than trying to block it and get rid of it and create something from scratch. There's a simplicity that you embrace that you can go back to after you learn a lot about lighting and after you learn the complicated lighting setups. If you are shooting a practical location, I think you'd be foolish not to walk in and see what inspires you.
Yeah.
I think some of the greatest inspiration is when you arrive in a city for the first time and your eyes are wide open and you're absorbing everything. So there's not one bit of experience that doesn't fall into play.
That actually segues perfectly into the next one, which is asking about the challenges you had to overcome with IMAX, with shooting with The Dark Knight. And I'm curious about that. That was one of my own questions too, because not only the overall challenges, but I'm also specifically curious about like the first shot. You're setting up, you're looking through the viewfinder, and did you have? I mean, that's obviously exciting.
It is. It is. I mean, I think. Look, I tried to get all my fears alleviated before we started filming.
Testing,
spending some time with the IMAX cameras. I think early on, the biggest challenge was the IMAX cameras were not in great shape. Nobody had shot with them for a long time. Nobody had ever done dramatic feature film work with an IMAX camera before. We were the first. Chris, at that time, asked me to handle that and try to figure it out. He knew he wanted to shoot IMAX. It was his idea from the beginning. We had tested it on the Prestige, and it was pretty amazing. And so he came up with this idea to shoot action sequences on it in Dark Knight that not only work fantastic visually because it's the highest resolution you're going to find, but also turned out to be a great marketing tool, ploy, gimmick, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely.
And the movie made an enormous amount of money in the IMAX theaters. So it kind of resurrected IMAX as well. So that sort of is part of the brilliance of Chris Nolan. He's an incredibly efficient filmmaker, and I try to always emulate his style and efficiency on the screen.
If you're ever given the chance to go back in time and reshoot an entire film in IMAX or 65mm, which one would that be?
I think probably both Chris and I would have shot Inception in IMAX had we been able to. And I think really what, in the end, shifted us away from it was, Chris did want to do an enormous amount of handheld in that film. But I think that the idea was if that whole film had been done in IMAX, it would have been pretty amazing.
Curious how you feel about film versus digital now in 2015.
Look, I think that there's still no question in my mind that digital will, at least where we are now, will never look exactly the same on the big screen. And I've used the top digital cameras, and they're quite impressive. But film is still higher resolution. It's still got a greater curve, and it's physical layers. So you're never going to really get that in a digital format. But these cameras can't handle contrast. They can't. You blow out a sky. I have a really hard time with one digital camera being able to see a sunset in the camera.
Are you continuing to adapt your shooting methods as camera technology advances?
Yes, I am. Some of these newer cameras being able to shoot in moonlight, I think that's something that makes me think and see if there's some way to utilize that advance in technology. Certain things like drones, that's an incredible technology. I'm really all for drones because I've flown in helicopters so many times and taken so many risks that I think it's going to make things a lot safer.
What 5 essential movies would you recommend to budding cinematographers?
Oh, wonderful. I love that question. For budding cinematographers, there's no question, you know, the 2 Godfather movies. I would say Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Bob Richardson did a movie called 8 Men Out, and he also did another picture called Snow Falling on Cedars, which is just spectacular. My favorite era for filmmaking is like 1967 to 1975. Hal Ashby, Robert Altman, Milos Forman, Arthur Penn. Those are my favorite films.
If you could give an aspiring cinematographer 3 essential tips on how to perfect their craft, what would it be?
Number 1, shoot as much as you can. Number 2, study natural light, see what exists, you know, going all the way back to the beginning of our conversation, and really, really understand what exists naturally. Oh, can I say 4 of them? Because I would say,
why not?
Number 3 is only put up as much light as you need to put up. You know, why put up 6 lights if you can do it with 1? And I can prove to you, you can light almost anything with 1 light or none. And number 4 is don't be lazy. Just bust your ass to work towards perfections. Don't go home early. Don't not get up early. Don't be complacent in any way.
All right, Wally, so we're here at the offices.
Yeah.
Great, man. Well, it was so good to talk to you today.
Pleasure talking to you as well. Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.